intra-network. In the sense, if I give you an example, that in case you want to connect, suppose multiple devices at your home, right? So there might be some kind of a network device, let us say a router may be used. Whereas if you need to do a LAN in a particular lab of your college, then you will be using a different device. And that kind of a network may be called as an intra-network. But then suppose I want to connect my LAN to the internet, then I am definitely trying to connect two different types of network. One is the internet and the other one is the intranet, which is there in my college. So if I want to connect two different types of networks together, that is if I want to do internetworking, even then the network devices are of use to me. Like then some of the devices are installed on the device, like NIC card or RJ45 connector, whereas some of them are the part of the network, like you may have router, switch, hubs, etc. Yeah, so eventually we are going to study each one of these devices. So actually, after knowing all these things, let us go through the definition of what are network devices. The devices which are used for communication between different hardwares used in the computer network are called as network devices. These devices are also known as physical devices or networking hardware, and the network equipment otherwise computer networking devices also. So there are n number of terminologies which are used for network devices. So ultimately, the takeaway from this slide is that in case you want to connect multiple terminals together, then who is going to help us? Network devices. Now you may connect those terminals within a network, or you can connect two different networks together with the help of network devices. Now starting with the first network device amongst all of them, the one that is the most important is the Ethernet card. Okay. Now, what is an Ethernet card? Many of you must have already seen what an Ethernet card is. So this is how the Ethernet card looks like. Mind well, this is not the card. This is the card. Okay. An Ethernet card, also known as Network Interface Card or NIC in short. It is a hardware component used by computers to connect to Ethernet LAN and communicate with other devices on the LAN. The NIC has RJ45 socket where network cable is physically plugged in. So what this tells you is that in case I want to connect, suppose I have a lab, let us say, I have a lab in my college and in which has got 20 terminals, 20 PCs, 20 desktops. And if I want to connect them to each other, then who is going to help me? It is the Ethernet card which is going to help me, right? And this Ethernet card is usually present inside your desktop. So this will not be visible to you. What will be visible to you is only this particular port. Okay, so this socket will be visible to you, and in this socket, then you will be connecting a cable, right? And this socket will be called as RJ45 socket. In this RJ45 socket, you will be connecting the cable. So where does this cable go to? This cable will obviously go to the other terminal. And उस other terminal में again you will have another NIC card within it. Now Ethernet card speeds may vary depending upon the protocols it supports. Old Ethernet cards had maximum speed of 10 Mbps. Modern cards support fast Ethernets up to a speed of 100 Mbps. Some cards even have capacity of 1 Gbps. I'm going to tell you what are the different types of them. They have a unique ID. They, in the sense, each of the Ethernet card or each of the NIC has a unique ID that is written on the chip. So every manufacturer of NIC will, will have will be giving a unique ID on this particular card, which is called as the MAC. That is the Media Access Control Address. It has a connect. So why is this this address useful to us? This address is useful because there might be n number of terminals. Suppose I have a lab, I have 20 terminals. So every terminal should have a unique address because of which that terminal or that desktop is identified. So when you connect them to each other, they are not known by the names which we give to the computers, but they are known to each other by the MAC address. MAC address you call it as, that is Media Access Control Address, which is a unique address which is given to every NIC. Okay. Then it has a connector to connect the cable to it. The cable acts as an interface between the computer and the router or the modem. Yeah, so now you have this Ethernet card, but then this is present inside your desktop. Now you need to connect two desktops together or two other devices together. So you have to have a cable where you have this RJ45 connector, which is connected to this particular socket. Then the types of Ethernets, I have already mentioned up over here. The types of Ethernets are basically standard, fast, gigabit, and 10 gigabit. So a standard Ethernet will give you the speed of around 10 Mbps. A fast Ethernet should give you a maximum speed of around 100 Mbps. Gigabit Ethernet has a provision to give the maximum speed of around 1 Gbps, and the 10 gigabit Ethernet has a provision to give you a speed of around 10 Gbps maximum. Now let's move on to RJ45 connector. Okay, RJ45 connector, this is the way it looks like. If you remember, in the earlier slide also, I had shown you this RJ45 connector. So it is used to connect it to the NIC, right? So this is your RJ45 connector. It is the acronym of registered jack 45. RJ45 connector is an 8-pin jack used by devices to physically connect to Ethernet-based local area networks. Yeah, I have already told you that. So in case you have many terminals or many desktops in your LAN, then to physically connect them to each other, you need a cable. To the end of the cable, you have this RJ45 connector. Ethernet is a technology that defines the protocols for establishing a LAN, and the cable used for Ethernet LANs are twisted pair ones and have RJ45 connector pins at both the ends. These pins go to the corresponding socket on devices and connect the device to the network. Yeah, so as I mentioned that to connect them, you need a cable, and the cables which are used are the twisted pair. To both the ends, you have these RJ45 connector. So one end will go to one terminal, the other end will go to your other desktop. So that's in brief about RJ45 connector. Then once you know that the Ethernet card and the RJ45 connector, they together will be used for connecting a wired network, then I hope you people know that there is also something which is called as a wireless network. Now, what is the thing which help us to support wireless networks? So the next device we are going to study is a Wi-Fi card, right? As the name itself tells you, this device will help us to connect different devices wirelessly with the help of Wi-Fi. Okay, so this is the way a Wi-Fi card looks like. Okay, if you can see, it has got antennas. So this is your card and it has got antennas. Now, what is Wi-Fi? Wi-Fi is the acronym for wireless fidelity. Wi-Fi technology is used to achieve wireless connection to any network. The wireless network card is a wireless terminal device which is used to connect to the internet through a wireless connection. So if you can see, there are no wires. I mean, there is no socket to this particular card wherein you can actually connect your RJ45 or any other terminal for that matter, or any other cable for that matter. So the connection is actually done wirelessly. Okay. So if you can see that this is that router. It is a wireless router. It has got an internet, and then of course it is getting connected wirelessly the other devices.
Hello.
So there is a laptop, there's a desktop,
I'm sorry,
the
ma'am.
pad, and the
Ma'am,
yeah,
you can select on a
yeah.
hide, so that screen will be. not visible.
Yes, yes, thank you. Thanks a lot for that. But the reason I keep it is because I want to know that I'm in the session. Many a times, you get disconnected and you don't even know that you've got disconnected. That is the reason I keep it.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, okay, thank you. So if you can see that the wireless connectivity is present between different devices, and that is of course compatible because the Wi-Fi card is helping us to do that. Once you know this, then it is a device that it does not need to be connected to a network cable, and the wireless network card is integrated with many modern devices like cell phones, tabs, laptops, etc. And yes, in fact, many of you must be knowing this. The physical area of the network which provides internet access through Wi-Fi is called as the Wi-Fi hotspot. So this Wi-Fi card will enable you, it will make it, it will make the wireless network compatible. But then there is a specific area which is covered by this. And that area itself is called as the Wi-Fi hotspot. So now, once that you are aware of that, which are the network devices which help us to connect, the LAN. I mean the different devices in a LAN. So that is the Ethernet card, and which are the different, which is the device which help us to make a wireless connection. That is a Wi-Fi card. Now it's our job to actually move on to a network device which will help us to connect a terminal to the internet. So if I have a device at my place, let us say a laptop or a desktop, and I want to connect that to the internet, then the first thing that comes to me is a modem, right? So what's a modem? A device that enables a computer to send or receive the data over telephone or cable lines. The data stored on the computer is digital, whereas a telephone line or cable wire can transmit only analog data, right? So, which means that, so if I say that you have a modem, the main function of the modem is to convert a digital signal into analog signal, and vice versa, that is an analog signal into a digital signal. And that is the reason that it is called as a modem, because modem stands for modulator demodulator. Okay, so as everyone knows that this is your digital data, this is your analog data, right? So what does a modem do? It converts into analog into digital and digital into analog. The basic reason is that your terminals, your devices will understand digital information. That is the reason the conversion of analog into digital will be required. So a combination of these two devices, that is modulator and demodulator, together is what you call as a modem. A modulator converts digital data into analog data when the data is being sent by the computer, and the demodulator converts the analog data signals into digital data when it is being received by the computer. So what are the different types of modems? So basically this is what the modem looks like. Okay. It can be categorized in several ways, like direction in which it can transmit the data, the type of connection to the transmission line, the transmission mode, etc. And depending on the direction of the transmission, modems can be of different types. Like you have a simplex one, you have a half duplex one, and you have a full duplex one. Now, in the earlier sessions, you are already aware of what is a simplex way of communication. So, simplex way of communication is just transferring of the data in one direction. That is broadcasting, you may call it as. The half duplex way of communication is when the transmission of the data is in both the directions, that is from sender to the receiver as well as from the receiver to the sender, but only one at a time. Whereas full duplex can be considered to be a bidirectional communication, in the sense the sender and the receiver both can transmit and receive each other's data at the same time. So these are the different types of modems that are available. Now, what basically you need to know about the modem is that any modem, it has got usually two ports if you have a look at the back side. So one port will be the incoming port, which is coming from your telephone line. So if you have ever looked, whenever you, all those people who have got modems at their home, if you must have ever seen that at the back side you have two ports. One is the incoming, the other one is the outgoing port. What is the incoming port for? It is to receive the data which is coming from the telephone line. So how does it get connected to the modem? It gets connected to the modem with the help of RJ11 connector. So जैसे the way I had shown you a RJ45 connector, similar to that is a RJ11 connector. Only thing is RJ11 is smaller in size as compared to that of RJ45. So that the modem receives the data from the telephone line with the help of the connector, that is RJ11. Then whatever required conversion is done by, whatever is the required conversion that has been done by the modem, and then the output of that modem is given on the RJ45 socket. So that RJ45 socket then will actually take out the cable from there with the help of RJ45 connector, which will then go to the rest of the house. Okay, so that is the thing wherein modem comes into picture. But then there are certain places where modems are not required. Why are they not required? Because in all those places, directly the LAN cable is coming. Suppose there are people who have in their houses, directly the internet is coming from a LAN cable. If the internet is directly coming from a LAN cable, then you will not require a modem. In that case, this will be the LAN cable will be directly given to some another kind of a network device, which is called as a router. Okay, so modems will come into picture only if you are receiving your internet from the internet service provider over a telephone line. So nowadays, that routers, which are one type of a network devices, they have inbuilt modems also many a times. Right, so that's about the modem. Yes, then the next network device to be studied is a hub. This is the way a hub looks like. It's a multi-port hub. If you can see, there are many ports on this particular hub. Now, a hub is a multi-port repeater. A hub connects multiple wires coming from different branches. For example, the connector and star topology, which connects different stations. Hubs cannot filter data, so data packets are sent to all the connected devices. Now, what does this mean? This is a hub. If you can see, there are different ports on this particular hub. So if this hub is generally used, it is not generally used for a personal network, because personal network may you hardly have 3 to 4 devices, not more than that. But a hub will be used whenever you have an organization which is to be connected in a network. Because in an organization, you have multiple terminals, you have many PCs to be connected to each other. Right? There are many devices to be connected to each other. So how do you connect them to each other? It is with the help of hub. Right? So, there are different number of ports, and with the help of the RJ45 connector, then you can definitely connect the different terminals to each other, that all those terminals are connected to hub. Now, it is used to communicate with various hosts and also for data transferring. The transferring of data in a computer network can be done in the form of packets. So, when a host sends a data packet to a network hub, the hub copies the data packet to all of its ports connected to it. Like this, all the ports know about the data, and the port for whom the packet is intended claims the packet. Thus, the hub is not so secure and safe. Moreover, Copying the data packets on all the interfaces or ports make it slower and more congested, which led to the use of network switch. That is, hub do not have the intelligence to find out the best path for the data packets, which leads to inefficiencies and wastage. I guess this should be more clear to you people when I tell you how does a hub work in this way. Yeah, whatever I explained on the earlier slide will be very clear here. So suppose you have a lab. In that lab, you have these many terminals. Let us say terminal A, B, C, and D. And all of them are connected to each other via the hub. Okay. Now let's say that this terminal A wants to send the data to the terminal B. That is over here. Let's see what happens. Okay. So now in the first place, when the terminal A sends the data in the form of packet, then that packet will go to the hub initially. Why? Because all the terminals are connected to hub. So obviously, whatever packet has to be routed to any of the other terminals, everything has to be routed to the hub. So this packet goes to the hub. Now what the hub does is, the hub will send the same packet to all the terminals, that is terminal B, terminal C, and terminal D, because all these terminals are connected to the hub. So now that actually to whom was it intended? The packet was supposed to be sent only to terminal B, but unfortunately hub is not very intelligent. It does not have the address of the destination. So what it does, it sends the packet to all the terminals. And finally, then packet पे जो address लिखा होता है, that is compared with the address by each of the terminal. So it was intended for terminal B. So terminal B will now claim this packet. So what has happened is that unwanted, this packet is sent to all the terminals, which is unwanted. So it increases the congestion or the traffic in the network. That is the reason the hub is said to be not an intelligent device. And that is the reason that this network device, which is called as a hub, has become almost obsolete now. It is generally not used. Okay, so then which is that network device which is more intelligent than hub, and which is that network device which is used generally? So it is the switch. So the next device is the switch. This is the back side of the switch that has been shown to you. Okay, if you can see, it has got multiple number of ports, and you know that all these, there are different devices which are connected to the switch. With the help of these connectors to these different ports. So a switch is a network device that connects other devices to Ethernet networks through twisted pair cables. It uses packet switching technique to receive, store, and forward the data packets on the network. This was not present in a hub. So in a switch, that what you have is, whatever devices are present in the network, in the LAN, in the Ethernet, all those devices ka address is present in the switch. There is a lookup table. That lookup table maintains, it checks the destination address and transmits.
Sorry to interrupt. I think your voice is breaking.
Your voice is breaking badly, ma'am.
port only. And that is the reason it is more intelligent than the with the data packets. What do you mean by filter and forwarding? Filter and forwarding is whatever Okay, let me just make one more attempt, sir. It's raining here. Maybe that is the reason that I have a poor internet connection today.
Yes, now it is audible.
Okay, sir. Thanks a lot. Yeah, so when a packet is received at one of the interfaces of the switch, it filters the packet and sends only to the interface of the intended receiver. For this purpose, a switch also maintains a content addressable memory table and has its own system configuration and memory. The CAM table is also called as the forwarding table. So let's have a look how it works exactly. So instead of a hub, now we have a switch here. To this switch, you have connected these devices. Then a terminal A wants to send some data to terminal D. So it will first be routed to the switch. That packet will be going to the switch. Now the switch has got a lookup table. As I said, the FIB table is present inside it. So it will check that this packet is intended for which terminal, the address. Accordingly, it will send the data only. The data or the packet is sent only to the terminal D. So although terminal B and C are also connected to switch, but it will send the data only to the intended terminal, that is terminal D. Okay, so that's the difference between a switch and a hub. Now we move on to a router or a router, you may call it as. So if you can see here itself, so there is a router present here. So this is a router. Then you have n number of terminals here. So you have a laptop, you have a desktop, a printer, and many other devices. And all of them are connected to the router. And what is a router doing? A router is connecting all these devices to the external network, that is the internet. So abhi tak what we studied was hub and switch, which were helping us to connect the different terminals within a network. That is an intra-network connection was we were being able to do intra-network connection with the help of hub and switch. Now this router will help us to make the connection between two different networks. One is this your intra-network and the other one is your external network, that is the internet. So what is the router helping us to do? This is the router. Okay, this is the way it looks like. It's responsible for routing traffic from one to another network. So in this case, there are two different networks. You can say this entire thing is one personal network and the other network is this internet. So if you want to connect the internet, which is coming from the internet service provider, then it has to be going first to the router and then the router will route it to the different devices. Okay. These two networks could be a private company network to a public network. You can think of a router as a traffic police who directs the network traffic to different directions. Hardware device that transmits the data from one LAN to another if both the networks support the same set of protocols. So a router is typically connected to at least two LANs and the internet service provider, which I have already told you here. It receives its data in the form of packets and routes them based on their destination address or the IP address. So this is also very much intelligent. Whenever it receives any data, then it will obviously check its destination address and will transmit that data in the form of packets to only the intended receiver, depending on the IP address. You people have already studied what an IP address is. So it routes data packets based on their IP addresses, and normally, LANs and WANs connected together and have a dynamically updated routing table based on which they are making decisions on routing the data packets. Like for example, you have a router connected in a particular lab where it has got 10 terminals or 10 PCs, out of which let us say 5 of them are removed and new 5 of them have been added, then the IP addresses of the new terminals, new 5 terminals, is automatically updated in the routing table of this particular router, and hence it is called as a updating. It is called as a dynamically updating routing table. It works as a switch as good as, I hope you understand that it is almost working as a switch, but it is more smart than a switch. Now, why do we say it is more smart than a switch? Because it is helping us to connect to 2 different networks. Moreover, a switch can be configured as a gateway also. Sorry, a router can be configured as a gateway also. In a router, you may have a modem also. So that is the reason that this router is more intelligent than a switch, but then it is also complicated as compared to it. So the next network device that you need to know is a bridge. Okay, so this is what a bridge looks like. Now you might say all of them look almost similar. Yes, all of them look almost similar. But then the work of them, each one of them is different, of course. It is used to unite 2 or more network segments, stores as well as transmits frames among the various segments. Bridges use the MAC hardware for transferring frames. It is used for connecting 2 physical local area networks to a larger logical local area network. In recent years, bridges are replaced by switches to provide more functionality. Now, why is that done? That is done because, okay, let me just read through and then eventually I'll explain you. If a router connects 2 different types of networks, then a bridge connects 2 sub-networks as a part of the same network. You can think of 2 different labs or 2 different floors connected by a bridge. So if you can see that, you have a router here at the top, and then that is getting that the internet is coming to the router, which is then going to the router is going to the switch. To this switch you have connected different terminals, okay, and then it may be if you have a sub network, then suppose this bridge will be acting as an interface for one sub network as well as another sub network. Okay, now why is this more popularly used? This is more popularly used because, because of the last line, if you can see. Use of bridge makes the bandwidth utilization better in the intra network. So, if I use a bridge, I just give you an example. Suppose I have 20 terminals in my lab, okay, out of which, suppose I say in the first case, suppose I connect all the 20 terminals to a switch, right? Then the speed of my network will get divided amongst those 20 terminals, right? Whereas instead of that, if I use a second case, what I'm doing is those 20 terminals are divided into 2 halves. The first 10 terminals are connected to a bridge. The second 10 terminals are connected to another bridge. So because of what happens is, because of connecting it to a bridge, what happens is that the speed in the network increases. Why does it increase? Because when you are connecting it to a bridge, then it is as good as that you are splitting the your 20 terminals into 10 and 10. So your entire speed will be accommodated only in the 10 terminals because you are connecting it through a bridge. If it would have got connected through a switch, then maybe your speed would have got divided into 20 terminals. I hope I'm I hope you people are getting me. So that's about what a bridge exactly is. So the last line is important. Use of bridge makes bandwidth utilization better in the intra network. Okay. Now, let's have a look at how exactly this bridge is going to work. So you have this bridge connected here. Then on one side you have LAN 1, on the other side you have LAN 2. Then of course bridge is also very smart as that of a switch is. So it has got a routing table. So the LAN 1 terminal is trying to interact with the terminal which is present in the other LAN. So that will get routed to the bridge. bridge will have a table of its own where the destination address will be checked, and ultimately that will be then forwarded to the respective terminal in the second network. So this is again trying to connect two networks together. Okay. So now the next network device that you need to know is a gateway. Okay. This is the way a gateway looks like. The gateway, the name itself tells you something. So what is a gateway doing? It is a passage to connect two dissimilar networks together that may work upon different networking models. That is, they work on different protocols. So if you can see that there are two different networks. One is this one, the other one is this one. And if you want the data to be transmitted from one network to the other network and vice versa, and these networks are completely different from each other, then there has to be a door. There has to be a door, or there has to be a gateway which is present between those two different networks. And that device which is present between the two different networks for the data to pass through each other, that device is what we call as a gateway. It works as the messenger agents that take data from one system, interpret it, and transfer it to the other system, very similar to that. It acts as the entry or the exit point for a network. So if you want to transmit some data from the internet to your in this particular network, the LAN, let us say. So what is the entry point? The entry point is going to be your gateway. And if some data, if you want to send some mail from your organization to maybe some other organization or to some other person who is not within your organization, then definitely it has to be routed. The exit point is the gateway. Okay. So it acts as the entry exit point for a network, since all the traffic that flows across the network should pass through the gateway. Only the internal traffic between the nodes of a LAN does not pass through the gateway. So in case that these four systems, yeah, they are connected in a LAN, and whatever data I want to transmit within these four terminals, then that data will not go through the gateway, because only the internal communication will take place over here. If I want to do communication with some external network, only then the gateway will come into picture. Usually routers can be configured as gateways. Yes, I had told you when I talked about routers. So routers are very smart, they are very intelligent. So routers not only can act as simply routers, but they can be configured as gateways also. So you need not actually buy a different gateway for connecting your two networks together. The next network device that comes into picture is a firewall. Okay. Now, what's a firewall? Many of you must have already you have seen what a firewall, or you have come across a terminology that is a firewall. The name itself tells you that, you know, in case something that is very authorized, yeah, something which is very private, the data which is very private, then the security of that private data is generally maintained with the help of a network device which is called as firewall. Okay, a firewall is a network security device. Yeah, so this is important, that in case you want to maintain security of your private data, then you use this particular device which is called as a firewall. Abhi tak ke all the devices which we have studied, no one of them is going to maintain any kind of security for your network. Whereas if you want to maintain security for your network, then firewall is important. It's either a hardware or software based which monitors all incoming and outgoing traffic. Based on a defined set of security rules, it accepts, rejects, or drops that specific traffic. So traffic in the sense, the data which is coming inside can be either accepted or rejected by your firewall. So whenever it feels that there is an attack which is being done by an external attacker, then definitely that will be rejected by the firewall. A firewall establishes a barrier between the secured internal network and outside untrusted network such as the internet. Yeah. So if you can see that literally a wall has been shown here. So of course a firewall looks somewhat like this. It's a network hardware device, but it has been shown somewhat like this. So if you have your LAN and this is your wide area network, so to connect between these two networks, that to protect your LAN from this WAN, you have a firewall in between. So it is generally used for protection purpose. In order to secure the internal network from unauthorized traffic, we need a firewall. What are the functions of a firewall? Any data which enters or exits a computer network has to pass through the firewall. Yeah, so many organizations now have always have a firewall built in. So if you can check any bigger organizations, no data which comes inside the organization comes without a firewall. That is why the security is maintained. And moreover, whatever data goes out of the organization also goes through a firewall, because no private data should be going outside the organization, right? All the valuable information stays intact if the data packets are securely passed through the firewall. Every time a data packet is passed through a firewall, it records it, which allows the user to record the network activity. Yeah, so this is also important. Whenever any transmission is done, to and fro transmission is done, that activity is recorded. Or to keep a track of what activity has been done and within which networks the activity has been done. No data can be modified as it is held securely within the data packets. Yeah, so this is the use of a firewall. The next network device that we have in the list, or rather the last one that we have in our list, is a repeater. Now the name itself tells us, isn't it? Repeater. So it is going to repeat something. Yeah, so this is a repeater. If you can see, generally is a two-port device. If it's only a repeater, then the main function of this device is to reproduce the signal, meaning repeat the signal, isn't it? So it's called as repeater. So the main function of this device is to reproduce the signal on a similar network before the signal gets weak or damaged. They do not strengthen the signal. Whenever the signal gets weak, then they reproduce it at the actual strength. So what is happening is that if I want to send my data over a longer distance, what happens is when you send it over some distance, the data gets weak. Yeah. Now you don't. Now if the data gets weak, definitely you cannot send it further. So what do you need in between? You need a repeater in between. So what is a repeater going to do? The repeater is going to take inside that weak signal. It is going to reproduce the signal at its original strength and then transmit it further. Because of what? Because of this repeater, what you can do is you can transmit the data over longer distances. So due to this, the signal can cover longer distances on the same network. And it's a two-port device. If it's only a network, then incoming traffic and outgoing traffic will be required. Hence, it's a two-port device. Now, let me tell you that a router can also be configured as a repeater. Yeah, so in case it's a router which can be configured as a repeater, then a separate hardware for repeater will not be required. Now, let's see the working of a repeater through this maybe. So you again have some network connected. You have these many terminals connected there, and all of them are connected through a switch on one side, and these terminals are connected through a switch on the other side, and you have a repeater in between. So what happens is that the terminal A on one of the LAN wants to communicate to the terminal D, which is present on the other LAN, right? So of course, in between you're using a switch. Then the switch sends it to the repeater. But by the time it comes to the repeater, if you can see that the signal has weakened. The signal is weakened, so the job of the repeater is to reproduce the same signal with its original strength. Then it gives to the switch, and then the switch will intelligently pass it only to the required terminal, that is the terminal D. So that is the way that the repeater is actually just reproducing the weak signal to its original strength or signal. So that's the repeater. That's all about the repeater. So we are done with the devices we had to study. That is all the network devices. Now let's do one thing. Because we are done with all the network devices. Now you might be thinking as to, yeah, suppose if I have different kinds of networks, maybe at my home or maybe in my organization, then at which place do I use which of the network device? Because I have studied so many devices, isn't it? A hub, a switch, a router, a gateway, a firewall. There are so many things I've studied. So where do I exactly use which of the network device? So for that, let's take some examples. So let's take one of the problem statement. Okay, the first problem statement says, I want to connect my PC, my TV, my phone and laptop to internet. So all these things I need to connect to internet. So what do I do? So let me call this network as a personal network, as you can understand from this, right? So so I have the internet present. Then I have these many devices present here, and I want to connect them together. So of course I will need a router, because if you remember that, to connect multiple devices in a network, a router can be used very intelligently. Then why do I not use a switch? I do not use a switch here because I simply don't want to connect these terminals within a network, but I want to connect these to the internet. And because that this network is different and the internet is different, if you want to connect two different networks together, you will need a router. So you will be using a router in between, so that the internet service provider then will give the internet to the router. So on the back side, as I said, that you will have some incoming data to the router, and then that you will have the wired devices connected to the router in the wired fashion. So these are wired fashion connected to the router, and hence that this internet can be passed on to your wired devices. But you may also have wireless communication possible, because this router can be a wireless one also. That is the reason that you can have the Wi-Fi connectivity between this router and these two devices, right? So that is the way that I can connect internet to different devices in my personal network, right? Then let me take another problem statement. Suppose I want to connect my same devices, PC, TV, phone and laptop to internet, but on the second floor also. So I have two floors. Okay. So har ek floor pe I have these devices. So let me say that I have the first floor. Okay. And the way I had shown you in the earlier slide, that to connect all these devices to the internet, I will need a router. So the first floor is already connected. And then to the second floor also I can connect these devices through a router. But the problem is that, the signal that is getting passed on from the first floor to the second floor is very weak. So can anyone tell me what can be done to pass on some enough strength of signal from the first floor to the second floor? What do I do? What do you think?
Repeater. Can we use
You
repeater?
can use repeater.
Yes, absolutely right. You can use repeaters in this particular case, because the signal that is going from the floor 1 to the floor 2 is very weak. So whatever signal is being received by this particular router on the floor 2 is very weak. So what we can do is that we can use a repeater in between. But as I said, that instead of using a separate hardware, that is a separate repeater ka hardware, what you can do is you can configure this router.
We can configure a router as a repeater only.
Yes. So what you can do is absolutely right. What you can do is you can configure this router as a repeater, because of which that it will perform two jobs. It will not only connect these devices to this particular router, but it will also receive the signal that is coming from the first floor. It will amplify it to the original strength, and then the rest of the things can be done as I had explained earlier. Right, so that's about the second problem statement. let's go in for the next one or the last one for this session maybe. The problem statement 3 says, I want to connect 3 labs of a floor in a LAN. So labs in the sense laboratories. Okay, I have in an organization, suppose in my college, I have 3 laboratories which are present on a single floor, and I want them to connect them to each other in a LAN. So what do I do? So let me say that these are the 3 labs. So I have shown only 4 terminals here. There might be many more terminals. So suppose I have 4 terminals in the lab 1. I have again 4 terminals in the lab 2. I again have 4 terminals in lab 3. So what do I do is just to connect each one of them, to connect 4 of these terminals to each other in the lab 1 itself, I will be using a switch. Similarly, to connect 4 of these terminals within lab 2, I will be using another switch. And to connect each of these 4 terminals to each other within my third lab itself, I will be using another switch, that is switch 3. So these 4 terminals are connected to this switch. So they can actually communicate only with each other. So in the lab 1, whatever terminals are connected, only they can communicate with each other now. So they are independent of each other right now. Okay, they are independent of each other right now, but now I want them to connect with each other. That is, I want the lab 1 to interact with lab 2 and lab 2 to interact with lab 3. So I want all of them to interact with each other. Can anyone suggest what should I do?
We can use one router for the central device as a central device for all these 3 switches.
Yes, definitely you can use a router. You are anyways going to need a router because whenever each of these labs need internet connection, the router will be required. But if I use a bridge, the speed of the network will be better. So if I use a bridge, of course I could have used a switch also here. Let me tell you, I could have used a main switch here, and then that main switch could have got connected to switch number 1, switch number 2, and switch number 3. That could also have been possible. Okay, but then if I use a bridge, then the speed of each of these networks will be even better. That is the reason that I use a bridge. If I use a switch, then these 12 devices, they will communicate with each other and the speed will get divided among these 12 devices. Whereas if I use a bridge, then the speed will get divided only into these 4 networks, then these 4 networks, then these 4 networks. So I'll get a better connectivity, I'll get a better bandwidth, I'll get a better speed if I use a bridge. So this bridge is then connected to switch 1, switch 2, switch 3. And switches are in turn connected to these labs, to these terminals. So ultimately all of them are now working with each other. But ultimately what is this? This is an intra-network, isn't it? But मुझे इसको कहाँ पे connect करना है? I want to connect it to the internet. So of course that I will be requiring a router, as someone mentioned. Yeah, someone correctly mentioned that I will be requiring a router here so that I will be able to connect this network and my intra network together. So a router will be doing that job. So yeah, I guess we have done almost all the devices, network devices, and the application of each of these devices into the different networks I have shown you with the help of these 3 problem statements. I have certain links which I can share with you people in the chat box also after some time. So that's it from my side. Any difficulties? Any difficulties?
No, ma'am.
Yes. You please ask your difficulty.
So, for these previous sessions, all of you have heard which are the different devices like hub or a switch or all those things. Now, I guess today you might have got a brief idea. Of course, there is more to each of the device, like how each one of them can be configured and, the types of each of the device. There are many things which can be learned about every device in detail. But of course, the scope of this session is not so much that we can include everything. That is the reason you have got a brief introduction about each one of these devices and their applications also. Yes, sir. So what do we do? Shall we conclude then?
Ma'am, we are badly losing your voice.
Oh, is it? Sir, am I audible now?
Yes, madam. You're audible.
Okay, okay. Yes, so if there are no difficulties, then can we conclude with the session, sir?
Yes, the participant, if you're having any doubts, you can clarify it. Otherwise, we can come to the concluding of this particular session.
Okay, thank you everyone. Thank you for patient listening. And we meet again tomorrow for the last session of this particular workshop. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, thank you very much, madam. So, dear participants, tomorrow we'll continue with our today's the session. So tomorrow the topic is nothing but the introduction of Wireshark packet analyzer tool. Okay. So in detail how the packets can be analyzed, that we're going to discuss in the tomorrow session. Okay. So okay, then we will see tomorrow at 5:15. Thank you, all of you.